we're here for Public Service Commission, docket 1935-1, application of Rocky Mountain Power to increase the deferred EBA rate through the energy balancing account mechanism. Why don't we start with appearances for the utility?
Good morning, Yvonne Hogel for Rocky Mountain Power. And here with me is Mr. Mike Wilding. And on the telephone, I think we have Mr. Robert Meredith as well.
Okay. Has that already been verified that he can hear and we can hear him?
No.
Yes, I can hear.
Okay.
This is Robert.
Thank you. Mr. Jetter?
Good morning. I'm Justin Jetter with the Utah Attorney General's Office, and I'm here this morning representing the Utah Division of Public Utilities. With me at council table is Division Witness David Thompson.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Robert Moore, the AG's office, representing the Office of Consumer Services.
And Gary Dodge on behalf of the Utah Association of Energy Users.
Okay, thank you. Anything else as a preliminary matter before we just move to the utilities presentation? Okay, Ms. Hogel, thank you.
Thank you. The company calls Mr. Mike Wilding.
Were we going to use the there or keep him at the table? Is there any preference?
If it's okay, I'm okay with him being at council table with us.
Any objection from any parties or from the court reporter to keeping the witness at the council table?
No objections from us.
No objection.
No
Okay,
objections.
we'll just keep him there. Mr. Wilding, do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Wilding. Can you please state your name, place of employment, and position for the record?
Yes, my name is Michael G. Wilding. I work for Pacificorp as the Director of Net Power Cost and Regulatory Policy.
And in that capacity, did you prepare and file direct testimony with attached exhibits MGW1 and MGW2?
Yes.
And do you have any changes to that testimony or exhibits?
No.
So if I asked you the questions therein again today, your answers would be the same?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to move for the admission of Mr. Wilding's direct testimony with attached exhibits MGW1 and MGW2 into the record.
Okay, if anyone objects to that motion, please indicate to me. And I'm not seeing any objections, so it's granted.
Thank you. Mr. Wilding, do you have a short summary that you would like to give to the commission?
Yes. On March 15th, 2019, the company filed its annual energy balancing account, or EBA, requesting to recover $23.9 million of EBA-related costs, resulting in a 1.1% EBA rate increase to be effective May 1, 2019 on an interim basis. The EBA rate increase is driven by a higher net power cost than are currently in base rates and the amortization of the Deer Creek mine expense. This is partially offset by a credit for savings related to the medical benefit obligation of the Deer Creek mine and an adjustment for sales made to a special contract customer. The proposed rate increase is spread across customer rate schedules consistent with the net power cost allocators agreed to in the 2014 general rate case, and the average rate impact to residential customers, or to the average residential customer, is 0.9% or 67 cents per month.
Mr. Wilding, do you have a specific request for the commission at this time?
Yes, I respectfully request that the commission approve the interim rates per the application to be effective May 1, 2019.
Mr. Wilding is available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jetter, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Dodge?
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner White, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Clark?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
And I don't either, so thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Ms. Hogel?
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Robert Meredith.
Okay, Mr. Meredith, do you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Can you please state your name, place of employment, and position for the record?
Yes, my name is Robert M. Meredith. I work for Rocky Mountain Power as the manager of pricing and cost of service.
And in that capacity, did you prepare and file direct testimony with attached exhibits RMM1 through RMM3?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any changes to that testimony or exhibits?
No, I do not.
So if I were to ask you the same questions therein again here today, your answers would be the same?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to move for the admission of Mr. Meredith's direct testimony along with attached exhibits RMM1 through RMM3.
Okay, thank you. If any party objects to that motion, please indicate. I'm not seeing any objections, so it's granted.
Thank you. Mr. Meredith is not going to present a summary, but he is available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jeter, do you have any questions for Mr. Meredith?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
No questions, thank you.
Mr.
No
Dodge?
questions.
Commissioner Clark?
No questions.
Commissioner White?
No questions, thanks.
And I don't either. Thank you for your testimony today.
You're
Anything
welcome.
else? Ms. Hogel? Okay, thank you.
Nothing else, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jeter?
Division would like to call its witness, David Thompson, and have him sworn in.
Mr. Thompson, do you swear to tell the truth? I do. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, would you please state your name and occupation for the record?
My name is David Thompson. I'm a utility technical consultant, and that's a Thompson without a P, Thomson.
Thank you. And in the course of your employment, have you had an opportunity to review the filings made in this docket?
I did.
And as a result of reviewing those filings and your analysis, did you create and cause to be filed with the commission memo from the division dated April 4th, 2019?
Yes,
Do you have any corrections or edits you'd like to make to that this morning?
I do not.
Would you adopt that as your testimony today?
I would.
Thank you. I would also like to move at this time to enter into the record the April 4th, 2019 memo from Dave Thompson.
Okay, if any party objects to that motion, please indicate to me. I'm not seeing any objections, so it's granted.
Thank you. Have you prepared a brief statement summarizing the division's position?
I have.
Please go ahead.
The division, in its April 4th, 2019 memorandum to the commission concluded, subject to the limited scope of its review, that the company's 2019 EBA filing does not substantially depart from prior year's filings. New adjusted items not in prior filings are included and appear to be required for inclusion in this filing. The new adjustments can be found in the direct testimony of Michael G. Wilding and Company Exhibit 1. The division believes that the company's proposed rate spread, rate design, and billing determinants are consistent with the commission's approved stipulations. The division believes the commission can use the company's rate spread and rate calculation methods in its filing for interim rates or another adjustment mechanism if so approved, and this concludes my statement.
Thank you. I have no further questions, and Mr. Thompson is available for questions from cross-examination from the parties or questions from the commission.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hogel, do you have any questions for Mr. Thompson?
No questions.
Mr. Moore?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Dodge?
No questions.
Commissioner White?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Clark?
No questions, thank you very much.
And none for me either. Thank you for your testimony today, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Jeter?
Nothing further from the division. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Moore?
The office has no witnesses, but I would like to have the pleasure of the record to lodge an objection to preserve issues on appeal.
Certainly. Well, let me just see if there's any objection from parties to you taking a moment to proffer your position. I'm not seeing any objection.
No objection.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore.
The division's April 14th memorandum was filed in accordance with the Commission's February 16th, 2017 order in docket 09-03515, which imposed interim rates procedures in the EBA mechanism. As the Commission is aware, the portion of the order imposing interim rates has been appealed by the Office and the Utah Association of Energy Users in two appeals, number 2017034 Supreme Court and 2018056 Supreme Court. In order not to waive any issues presented in those appeals, The office objects to all portions of the division's April 14th memorandum with references the imposition of and the procedures for the application of interim rates in the EBA mechanism. The office also objects to the division's alternate suggestion that the commission adjust net power components of the base rates until the conclusion of the division's audit and related process to allow establishment of final rates. As set out in our reply comments, the office's position is that base rates may only be adjusted in a general rate case, and this is pursuant both to the EBA statute and the general rate statute. Therefore, whatever the reasons for the division's association request to adjust rate base, the commission lacks the statutory authority to do so. That concludes my statement. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Clark, do you have any questions for Mr. Moore?
I don't, thank you.
Commissioner White, do you?
I have no questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore. Do you have anything further?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dodge?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. UAE has no witnesses. UAE has filed reply comments that state our legal position, and we believe that's part of the record, and that's all we need to say.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner White, any questions for Mr. Dodge?
I have no questions, thank you.
Commissioner Clark?
No questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further from anyone? Okay, we will be adjourned and take the matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.